Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Sarah Smith, and you're listening to Raw Intentions. All right, we've got another fabulous episode for y'all this week. I am so stoked to be back. You know, I love being in front of the mic. We've got a very special guest, and before we get into that and all that she is, I will give you all my little elevator pitch just in case this is your first time listening. So, like I said in the intro, my name is Sarah Smith, Sarah with an H, Smith with a Y. I went to Auburn University, graduated in 2017, was studying bilingual occupational therapy, was supposed to go to grad school, had all of these plans that, of course, never came to fruition. I was incredibly broke in college and I was waitressing at Texas Roadhouse at the time. Started making handmade jewelry for myself because I just had no money to shop and wanted jewelry of my own. The necklaces caught on. I started making them for friends and family. And what started as a little side hustle out of my college apartment, just making handmade jewelry, has snowballed and turned into so much more than that. 8 years later, it's my full-time brand, my business, my firstborn child. It's called Raw and Rebellious. It's at raw_rebellious on Instagram. And we actually don't do handmade jewelry anymore, which is a little sad, but also kind of cool. We love growth. We do apparel, we do prints, we do hats, we do shoes, we do collaborations, meetups, pop-ups, bar crawls. I mean, the list goes on. And I think my favorite part of having our brand is the community that we've cultivated over the last 7-8 years since we've started. It truly is a living, breathing brand because of everyone that supports us and loves us and buys our stuff. And that's what led me to start this podcast 2.5 years ago. Raw Intentions is a extension of the brand, obviously, but also a lifeline to that community, to all the people that I DM, that I get to meet at our pop-ups and at our events, and just a more authentic, raw, intentional way to talk to you guys and have really deep, meaningful conversations. I mean, obviously, if I have a podcast, it means I love to hear myself talk, but I also love having guests on. I've had friends on and dragged them in front of the mic. And I've also gotten to have conversations with people that I admire from afar, people that I may not necessarily know in real life, but that inspire me and that I get to have conversations with and call it work. And that brings us to our very special guest this week. We've got Alden Easter Lopez. Alden, better known as Ace at the Beach, is a seaside native that lives in St. Pete and also is just a woman of the world. She's always on the go, which we laughed about because when I was researching and writing her questions, I had absolutely no clue where she lived. But Alden started her journey as a content creator. I think that's how I found her way back when, to SEC Girly. She's an Ole Miss grad, and she is now the co-founder with her sister of Jaw Creative, which is a social media agency that she founded 8 years ago with her sister Jordan. And their story is really cool on how they started. Their why is incredible. And working with your sister, although interesting, obviously works for them, which we talk about. And we talk about lots of things in this episode. We talk about advice for any aspiring content creators and influencers. We talk about business advice if you have a small business, the woes of managing teams and things we've learned in that realm, internships. We talk about common ailments that her clients have and some hot tips and tricks and advice on social media, whether you're just dipping your toes in or you've been in the game for a while. It's ever changing. So no matter where you're at, I promise you will find something tangible in this episode. We also talk marriage advice, relationship advice, finding friends in your 20s and finding yourself. It was such a fun episode, such a fun conversation. And I loved getting to know Alden. So without further ado, let's welcome Alden Easter Lopez to Raw Intentions podcast. Well, Alden, thank you so much for coming on and for doing this with me. And I always tell people one of my favorite things about podcasts is I followed you for a million years and I feel like I know you in a sense, but clearly from the questions that I sent you, I don't even know where you live. And I know we said that that's kind of an anonymous thing about you. But what I love about having a podcast is getting to slide into people's DMs and be like, hey, do you want to get on my podcast? And really, it's just me like, curiously asking a million questions and getting to call it work. So I'm excited that we get to talk because I followed you for a really long time. I can't even remember how I found you, probably just through the SEC realm because you went to Ole Miss, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I'm sure we've got lots of mutuals, but I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience and to yours and to give us a little elevator pitch before we dive into the episode.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. I followed you forever too and love your brand. I always,
Thank
every year,
you.
I say I'm going to buy one of the ski hoodies, even though I only go skiing like twice a year right now. But
Yes.
this year is actually going to be, now that I'm on the podcast, I feel like I have to commit. But, I'm Alden. I am from Seaside, Florida, and split my time between there and St. Pete, Florida right now. No one really knows where I live because I am kinda always on the go. And yes, I went to Ole Miss. I did integrated marketing communications, IMC, and then graduated and started Jaw Creative with my sister, and we have it's a social media marketing firm. We have a team of really awesome women now, like a pretty big team, which has been really fun. And when I'm not working, which I do work a lot, but when I'm not working, I am traveling, finding the best cocktail in any city. I love cocktails. And then hanging
Mhm.
out with my husband, Max, who's my best friend, and my little rescue dog, Cheerio. So, yeah, that's
Love. Okay, wait, give me your favorite cocktail. Like, what's your go-to order?
oh, it really depends. I love a Negroni. I really do.
Okay.
I love a watermelon margarita, but with mezcal. I love tequila. My husband and I are both big tequila people. So, I do love an Aperol Spritz. That's my basic side of me. I've loved them for years, though, I'd like to say, I feel like before they were trending.
The
That's, like,
Pioneer.
my day drink, but if it's nighttime, I want a Negroni or, like, a tequila espresso martini, not a vodka one. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a tequila mezcal girl as well. I don't like vodka at all. So, like,
Me
when
either.
I get martinis, I'll try to get them with tequila because I love
I haven't
martinis.
had a tequila martini. Do you like it?
Yeah, you have to go a little lighter on the vermouth, I would say, and I
Okay.
think that's the only time I will drink vodka is in a martini, but I've done the tequila espresso martini, and I think that's better than, like, a dirty martini with
Yeah.
tequila, but
That's,
I'm very much the same way.
I love it. Tequila girlies. It's the
Yes.
best.
Incredible. So you have Jaw Media, which is your creative or your social media company with
Yes.
your sister.
Mhm.
And then you're also an influencer and a content creator yourself, correct?
Yes, yes, that's, like, kinda my side hustle. I actually, after college, like, tried to do it full time and realized it wasn't my passion. It's also very hard. I'd like to go ahead
Mm,
and credit every influencer who does it full time. It is a grind 24/7. I love doing it on the side, but I really enjoy Jaw Creative. We just rebranded, actually. So we were Jaw Media, and now we're Jaw Creative. We can talk more into that later. Yeah, I do social media on the side, and the reason I kinda didn't want it to be my full time is I really love getting to create for businesses. It's so fun to be on that side of it. And honestly, I really like that having it be my more of my side thing. I can only work with brands I really, really want to. And when I was doing it full time, you have to make the money. So you have to like really push
right.
yourself a lot. And I think that's incredible. But I just really wanted to focus more. And I did that August challenge where I did no shopping and everything.
Mhm.
I am more of a secondhand shopper and a kind of a digger when it comes to shopping, so I wasn't
Okay.
making enough from links and everything because I really enjoy the digging process of that, so I think I just had to
Mm.
find my right fit there, but I do love doing both.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did the creative agency come before the influencing? Did you start that in college? Because I feel like that's how I found you, was you having some kind of presence on social media. I mean, probably around the time that I started my jewelry company was when
Yeah.
I found you.
So I've actually been on Instagram since I was 13 or 14, I was going into high school. So yeah, middle school. And I started getting a following when I was in high school, pretty young. I was
Okay.
working at Ophelia Swimwear in Seaside, which I love the owner. She's the best. And that was my first job and long time job. And we would do a ton of photos wearing a lot of the brands like L Space Swimwear and all of that. And doing photo shoots just became something I loved doing. And so I started out running around Seaside. I did online high school for half of my high school. So,
Okay.
was an online kid. So I had a lot of time. So I was taking a ton of photos and I was in Seaside. So I had a beautiful backdrop. So it started when the popular page was a thing, if you remember that. So
Mhm.
feel like I'm aging myself, but yeah, so I've been on for a long time. I was very college, especially at Ole Miss, I was obsessed with just, like, posting all the time. I still am, I still love it. But yeah, I've been around and doing the influencer stuff for so long. It just feels like second nature, honestly, to
Yeah.
post. I love sharing and I love making videos, so it's so fun.
Mm. Well, it sounds like the, like, sharing aspect and the content itself is more of a passion for you than, like, the actual, like, sharing links and the influencing thing, right?
For sure, and I
Right.
think that I love, like, the editing part of it is really fun to
Mm.
me, especially photo editing. especially, I mean, obviously in high school, it was not very good looking, but,
For the
I
time.
have always loved the filters and knowing how
Uh-huh.
to do things, and then in college, I went and studied abroad at the University of Sydney and did a videography minor while I was there, and
Oh,
that really helped me fall in love with videography. So,
okay.
that I like
Cool.
the that's why I love reels. I think reels are just I could talk about them all day. So,
Yeah. And being from Seaside, what is that like? Because I'm from Alabama, so I've grown up going to Seaside. And I went recently because one of my friends just moved to Rosemary. And I mean, it has changed so much
oh,
in the
yeah.
last like 10, 15, 30 years, which you would know more than me. So, how is that growing up there? And how is the change that you've seen?
It's crazy. So I moved there. I was born in Austin, Texas. So I moved
Mhm.
to Seaside when I was in this Indian 7th grade. So I kind of feel like I've seen it now. My family's lived there. I'm 28, so a long time, 10 plus years, almost I think 15, but not very good at math. But I can't even describe how much it's changed. I think it's grown in a beautiful way in some parts, and then some parts make me really sad. It's like getting really overdeveloped, which is I don't love, but I do there's so many amazing local businesses, so the more it grows, the more they get business and support, so I do like it for that part. Also, our restaurants are getting a lot better, so that's nice to have
Yeah.
more options, but the off season's still my favorite. It's I mean, it honestly is heaven. I understand why everyone wants to move there. I can't even say like, "Oh, don't move," or anything because I get it. It's so wonderful. I still go back
Mhm.
every 4 to 6 weeks, so, yeah, it's crazy to have grown up there. It was like The Truman Show, the movie,
Yeah.
but, it's definitely watching it change has been hard. The biggest thing is, like, the dirt roads in Seagrove, I don't want those to go away. There's been, like, a fight there. So I think the conserving how charming it is something I hope that they continue to do, but, yeah, it's changing a lot.
And you and your husband are in St. Pete now?
Yes, yes, we're down a little bit further south.
Okay. Okay. And when you went off to college to Ole Miss, did you know you wanted to come back to Florida? I feel like Floridians are like born bred, have to be by the ocean.
Honestly, I didn't. We were in Nashville for a while, so
Okay.
I met Max when I was a senior and he already had graduated. We both went to Ole Miss, but somehow didn't know each other during school, which worked out great. But I ended up going to Nashville a couple years after we were dating, and I loved living in Nashville because I love a city. So
Mm,
that's something I miss, but Florida is so fun. I just love the beach, and having access to the ocean is just such a calming place for me to either start my day there or end my day there just by water or there where I live in St. Pete, I can in 8 minutes go to a park where there's a dolphin every day, so I can see a
mm,
dolphin next to me every day, so that's just incredible. So, I didn't know that I would end up back here. I also am very much not someone who wants to stay in one place. So I feel like we'll
okay.
move around a lot just in our lives. So
Mhm.
I don't know, never say never. We might not be here forever, but I feel like we'll always come back to Florida. So,
Or at least have like a part of you there.
oh yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever stop spending at least part of my time, especially because my sister and I's company. There's no reason for me not to go. But yeah, I'm definitely very loyal to Florida.
No, I mean, I totally feel that. I feel like your ocean and dolphins are my mountains.
Yeah.
Living out in nature and finding that like peacefulness and stillness and calmness is
Mhm.
something that like I think now wherever I go, because I live in a kind of similar, it's like a Disney World and Seaside can feel that way as well. It's like somewhere that people travel to go to. And I know that it may not be realistic to stay. I mean, I don't own property yet. But I think no matter where I go now, I'll have to have mountains accessible to me so that I can have that kind of escape,
Mhm. For
you know?
sure. I've really learned throughout I think after Nashville, I loved Nashville and had the best community there, but their winters were hard because there wasn't a lot of winter activities, and I
Right.
just need places to get outdoors, like you feel like. In the winter in Colorado, you can ski and still be outside because 'cause you'll get a lot of good sun, and
Yes.
but I definitely learned that about myself that I can't do the rainy, dreary winter, so, even though I have family in Seattle, I probably won't end up in Seattle.
Yeah. I know. I've thought about Seattle too, and I would get too depressed, which that's the nice thing about Colorado. Like you said, it's sunny more times than it's not.
Yes, I definitely just anytime I can be outside
Mm.
is like walks or a hike. I know you love hiking, hikes,
Mhm.
anything like that. is just a beach walk or even a swim. So refreshing. I feel like the mental health aspect of it is incredible.
Yes, it truly is. I encourage everyone to try to find whatever that is for them. And so you touched on influencing a little bit and you trying to make that a full-time job, which I'm sure many people have gone through that before going full throttle with Jaw Creative with your sister. So
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about that because I know trying and kind of feeling like you're failing at something isn't the best feeling. And throughout your 20s, I think a lot of us have those endeavors of like, we think it's something that we might be interested in, we try it, it doesn't work out, and then we create something even better. So,
Mhm.
what was that experience like? And how is that like, what is influencing and content creation separate from Jock Creative look like in your life now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think in terms of, if you want to be an influencer and you want to try it, there's just, especially in today's world, there's no reason not to. And if
Mm,
you're worried about what other people think, I struggle with that all the time where I'm concerned about what people are thinking of me. And then I remember they're probably not thinking of me because they're thinking about themselves, which is great. But I think the biggest thing is if you're going to try it, when I was first trying it full time before Jaw Creative, I wasn't showing up enough as my authentic self. I think I was trying to be an influencer instead of just showing the world who I was and letting
mm,
not be perfect. And now I feel like I'm so comfortable posting whatever makes me happy on my Instagram and not feeling like I have to do anything specific. But that took a lot of years of growing. And Jaw Creative allows me to be really creative and help build up like another business. It's also honestly helped me learn how to communicate really well with
mm,
clients and everyone in that aspect that now if I was going to go start and be full-time influencer, I feel like I would have no problem just diving fully into it because I've gotten over a lot of fears, but the only way to get through feeling any kind of fear for anything or if you're don't know if it's going to work is to do it. So
mm.
I think now going through years of doing both influencing and having my own company, I don't feel as, afraid. So the
Okay.
best way to do it is just to do it, but it's hard to take the first step, but I really think being your authentic self is the answer for anything you do, whether you start your own company or, you want to be an influencer because everyone like your company is so unique and so cool and that's what I think makes it stand out. So I just
Mm.
if anyone's going to start something, don't try to start what's already there. Just do something from like your heart and you'll stand out. Same with like having our agency now. Our whole team is all women, which is really fun and really creative, but we always want them to come with like their own creativity and what they want to bring to the table instead of trying to have them mold with like this is what you do. So I think there's room for everyone in any space like that, but you gotta just be yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on so many amazing points there. Like, number one, with anything, you just have to start, right? And then
Yeah,
perfect later. And I think any entrepreneur you talk to will tell you that. And it's funny, you talking about not caring what other people think. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. It's such a muscle you have to work, and
oh,
it's
yeah.
important to not let it stop you from doing things. But just because you've conquered that in one realm of your life doesn't mean that you're just like,
Great, yeah.
great in all elements. Like you kind of have to choose, okay, like I'm going to post this or I'm going to do this. And like, my high school teacher or my ex-boyfriend from college or, my best friend from middle school might see this and might think that it's cringe or whatever, but then you're still choosing to do that thing. And I think working that muscle is just a practice, like so
Mhm.
many other things. And I've started doing some influencing on my personal page recently, and I've had to work that muscle again that I haven't had to work in so long because I'm so used
Yeah.
to posting through Raw and Rebellious and just not caring. And so it's just funny how that can always still come up. And the third thing you said that I loved was about showing up as yourself because I think people worry with so many people influencing or having businesses or online boutiques or social media agencies that there's oversaturation. But I think if you
Mhm.
just show up in the way that's authentic to you, then there's no way that it can be oversaturated because you're showing up in a way that hasn't been done yet on the platform. So I think that's a great way to think about it if you are thinking about starting something.
100%. I definitely think there's room for everyone.
Hmm.
The things that fail is if you're just trying to be like a copycat of someone else, and I've definitely fallen into that trap many times of
Totally.
being looking at someone else's life and deciding, "Oh, that's what I should post because that's working for them." But my some of my favorite influencers I follow because they just literally post the most random stuff, but it's about their life, and
Mhm.
then I can relate to it so much more because it's not perfect and they're letting their messiness just be exposed. Those are also the influencers that I've watched grow the most because they're
Mm.
being completely free of the rules, I feel like, that people have made up with Instagram, and
Yeah.
they don't care, they're just authentic, and yeah, I've seen the most every time I've watched someone, let's say they have 10K and then suddenly they have 200K, it's usually the person who's doing something different, so
Mm.
that's always encouraging to me because I do struggle with that. It's hard.
Yeah, it is, and it's easier said than done, and it can constantly come up in our lives, and we constantly, try to keep that authenticity and that
Mhm.
vulnerability. So talk to me about Jaw Creative a little bit. When did you start that? What did that look like? Was there a gap that you saw in the market that you wanted to fill or something that you knew that you wanted to bring to the space?
Yeah, so about a year after college, I was doing living in Seaside, doing the influencer thing, not fully feeling like I was doing everything I wanted to do, so I wasn't feeling fulfilled, and I helped my sister with an event. She already had her own social media management company that she had started in Dallas. She now lives in Seaside, but she lived in Dallas before.
Okay.
And I helped her with an event, and afterwards she sent me a text that she still has that said, "What if we worked together?" And I was like, "Why not? Let's try it." So that was now 8 years ago. In
Wow.
that time, we've done a lot of a lot of changes. So we literally just rebranded in August to expand with more services because we felt like there was more of a need in some new areas that we're working in, but we definitely have gone through a lot of growing pains being business owners. I'm sure you can relate to that. There's a
Yes.
lot of growing pains and we've come a really, really long way, but we both Jordan actually had started the company, that's my sister's name, out of necessity. Her husband was in the hospital. He lost his colon. He's doing great now, but he was in the hospital for a long time and she couldn't work at her in an office anymore. And so she started it out of necessity. And then when we came together, that was more when I feel like it became a passion for both of us to see what we could do with this. She is the organization side of the business, and I'm more of the creative ideas person. We have
Okay.
a business coach, and she basically says Jordan is the implementer, and I am the visionary. And I love looking at it like that because
Mm.
I come to Jordan all day with 7 million ideas of things we should do. And she says, okay, but how are we going to do that? So
Mm.
it's great to have a partner like that. And a lot of people think we're crazy working together as siblings, but it honestly balances it out. And you can't talk to anyone how you would talk to your siblings. So it kind of works because if we do fight, it's pretty straight to the head and then we're good. And
You get
then
over
the
it.
W in our name is Jordan Alden Will. That's our brother's name. He's a photographer. So he does his own thing, but we use him for photography in our
Oh.
business. And so growing up, our dad and mom called us Jaw, like referred to us as Jaw. So that's where that comes from too, which I think is a fun little fact.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yes. So what's the dynamic like as sisters? Do you think it's strengthened your relationship? Because people say the same thing about, working with family, working with friends, working with your husband or wife. But some people, it just works.
Yeah, it definitely has strengthened us. I think our communication is really good, but we've gone through hard parts. We definitely have had pretty big fights over the years, but we've worked them out. And now, if we get in any kind of tiff or something, we're way better at stepping back and realizing, whatever's going on, that we need to take a breath and then come back together and solve problems quicker. So, over the years, we've gotten better and better and now I think we're in a really, really good place communication wise, but we definitely have gotten closer and stronger because we work together every day and
Mm.
we have the same goal at the end of the day, which is to make our company successful. But we also really love working with all of our different clients and we love our team. And we have an internship program too that we're super passionate about.
Oh,
So because we work with so many girls and feel like we have people depending on us a little bit, it
mm.
motivates us more to keep things going and work together well, so
Wow. An internship program. So how has your team grown? Was Jordan is her name, right?
yes, Jordan.
Was Jordan doing it on her own until you came on board?
Yes, so when I came on board, we made it Jaw before she just called it Jordan Taylor Co. So we came together and then over the 8 years, now we have 2 full-time girls, 4 or 5 part-time, I think 5 part-time girls, and then we have 7 interns right now, but we have an average of 7 to 12 interns every fall, spring, and summer, which is so fun.
Holy shit, that is so impressive. I'm curious how that works and what it was like growing your team, as well as how this internship program works. Because I get reached out to for internships all the time, and I feel like I'm not organized enough to to
Yeah.
implement
Well,
it.
my sister's the organization brain, but I'll
Yeah,
definitely send you some of the stuff we've done. She has been so passionate about it over the years, so it's gotten way more organized, but now we have I think we have 3 different things we use, but Asana we use for everyone's task and everything, and then we have Slack, so that's helped a lot for communication because we used to just text with our team, which I don't suggest anyone do. Definitely
yeah,
get Slack. But it so basically it's grown now a lot word of mouth from girls telling their friends, but it is only about 5 to 10 hours a week and they get to work directly on clients, which I feel like is a little different than a lot of internships because if you want to work as a social media manager, getting experience working on a client is so important. But when I was in college, I did a few different really random internships. At one point, I worked for a taco truck. I don't really know what I was doing. I did get free tacos though, but whenever we have them only work 5 to 10 hours a week on clients, and it's based on what they're interested in. Luckily, we
okay.
don't have a niche for our company, so we have clients from boutiques to casinos to a plant nursery. We have restaurants. We have really anything you could imagine. So we have a lot of girls come who love fashion, so we can give them exactly what they want to work in. So it's developed a lot over the years. It works really well. It's
Mm,
all remote for them. They can do it with their class schedule. There's no conflict with anything that they're doing in their life because they can work whenever. And then we just divide them up into teams and they work underneath whoever is the lead of that client, which is one of our full-time or part-time girls. So
okay, cool. And going back to growing your company with your, team members, your full-time and your part-time, what is that like? Because I know the first hires are the scariest, and I've gone through everything where I've gotten, too hiring happy and I hire too many people, or I give an employee too much responsibility or too little. So I feel like there's a fine line and a balance, especially when it's your baby and you're the founder or one of the founders.
100%. So we now, with our 2 full-time girls who I'm obsessed with, their names are Lauren and Arden, which is funny because 'cause I'm Alden, so we have Alden and Arden.
Yeah.
We also have an Eden, so it's just really confusing sometimes, but, Lauren actually did our internship 3 times in a row. She loved it and just kept doing it, and we basically, after hiring her full time, decided only to hire from our internship because they had already worked with us and we already were able to see how they worked, and it was great to see if they fit in well and everything. It was almost like a trial period. Once we hired her, we decided to do that. Another thing we've done is we have honestly, which I don't know if this is good or bad, but we have not hired until we are absolutely having to. So that's where we started hiring part-time girls because we can do it by project. So that has really
Okay.
helped because there's less pressure as a business owner to give them, a salary, but they also can work more hours some months if we have bigger projects. They can make more, with that going on. So that's really helped. But honestly, having the internship program and getting to know them first, even Arden, she was out of college and she did the internship program. And she told us from the beginning, I really want this job. She was switching industries she worked in, and she actually lives in Salt Lake City. So we do it from anywhere, which is great because it's social media. We kind of get to know them first, and that has helped a lot. But I do think having part time really helps because we can give them, you can pay them more based on what's available. And there's less pressure from the business, but also for them, they are freelance. So they can go work other stuff too and don't have to be fully committed, which is kind of, I think, good for both people. So,
Yeah. Well, and I think it's great advice having them start with the internship, because learning a company from the bottom up, I feel
mhm.
like just makes for a better coworker as well, because then they get to see all sides of it and understand every aspect as they like slowly grow with you.
100%. And also training, we've really learned that it's our responsibility for them to know how to do something.
Mm,
So investing in training them and being good leaders is something I'm always working on because I can't expect someone to know how to do something that I've been doing for 8 years when they just started. So really trying to take it back. Now we have training videos and we do training calls with every internship. So we've gotten a lot more in depth with them. But I think if I give someone too much and they don't know what they're doing, I blame myself because I should have made sure that they could handle it. So now it's, you know, making sure I'm teaching them what they need to know. So that's been a good self reflection lesson.
Yeah, no, that's a great lesson. I mean, I learned that too. I never saw myself in a manager role when I started and like had to hire all these people. And I
Mhm.
would just expect so much without explaining much, or I would
Yeah,
just expect people to read my mind. And that's such a learning thing of like putting your ego aside. And when there's a mistake made, being like, okay, did I do literally everything I could have done to set this person up for success?
right.
Or did I maybe just expect things or assume that they would understand something that I just find easy and natural? And I
Mhm.
think that's a really hard thing to do as you grow, in a managerial position and grow your team is holding yourself accountable and making sure that you're being the best example, which isn't always easy.
Totally. And we have after every, internship program, we have them have an anonymous survey to, tell us anything we could improve and everything. And recently in the summer, we had some that weren't as positive as we usually get, and it was such a good
Mm,
wake up call of, you know what, we relaxed too hard, and we had a really busy summer, not to, have any excuse. But after that, we kind of tightened up even more because it's, if you do loosen things do start falling through the cracks. So it was a good
yeah.
lesson of like, oh, this person didn't think they got enough attention with learning this. So now we're setting up more calls or checking in more with each intern or employee and making sure everyone feels good. I think that's a lesson is communication. Jordan is so big on like we have to communicate really well with everyone, and that I've learned too is just the best way to run a business period is just
Hmm.
communicate with your clients, with everyone you work with. If you just even replying to an email to let someone know you got their email, just small
Mm,
things like that have really changed, or just checking in with someone like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And if they just say, "Great," like, at least you put the effort in. So that's
right.
been definitely a lesson is just learning how we can be better because, like you said, you just are used to doing it. So you assume
Hmm.
they're gonna do it the same way. We
Yeah.
now have a lot of list of, "Here's how you do this for this client," or, "These are the things that you're supposed to check every week." It's made us make a lot of lists.
Mhm. I'm a big list girl too. I have
Yeah,
a million shared notes and emails and threads and
so
things
many.
at all
The
times.
Google Drive is full. The Google
Google
Drive
Drive
is
is
full.
full, Dropbox is full, everything is full. It's
Yes.
I love that. And no, I think that's incredible advice and things that I need reminders on as I, change and grow my business. I think it's always good to check yourself. And the anonymous survey thing is also a really great idea. And when you think about your clients and how it's grown within your company, do you think that's more so word of mouth? Do you have clients that are pretty consistent and come back? And have you found limitations like, okay, we can only take on this amount of clients at one time in order to best serve everyone?
Yes, for sure. So, we actually have, which this feels so good, this really boosts our confidence. I think right now, 7 of our clients we've had over 3 years. So, we have a lot
Wow.
that stay, which feels so great because that means we're doing a good job. We're always trying to do
Mhm.
better. That also has been fun because some of them have been around before reels were even a thing. So, lots of change they've gone through changes with us that we've also
Mm.
experienced. And then we have almost 20 clients right now, so we're definitely feeling very full right now,
Mhm.
which is why we're so grateful for our team, but we definitely only now take 1 new client a month if we're open. Right now,
Okay.
we're open because another thing with being a business owner that is hard, but part of it is that you do lose people. It's just, we have 6-month contracts. We always lose, like, 1 or 2. We've learned not to take offense that, social media isn't always the right fit, or we just might not be the right fit for them. But we're always trying to take on only 1 a month so that we don't ever overdo it because it takes a long time to get to know a client.
Yeah.
But mostly word of mouth, which has been really awesome. We have a lot of clients in the 30A area, so that's really cool to have a lot of local clients to get to work with people that I, grew up eating at their restaurant or
Mhm.
shopping at their store or something. So that's been fun to have that full circle moment. And we really haven't had to do a lot of outreach, which is something we want to be better at
Cool.
because we've added new services now. So we should be doing more outreach. But yeah, we've had it mostly from really good connections. We've had a few wonderful PR companies or people who do PR that don't want to do social media that have given us a lot of referrals. So we're
Cool.
feel very lucky to have that.
Yeah, but I mean, it clearly shows that you're doing things right, you know? Like
Yes.
people coming back, people telling their friends. I think that's like the highest form of compliment in your business.
100%. It feels really good. So we're going to try to keep it up.
Yes, congratulations. And with your clients and everything you've learned in social media always changing, are there certain issues or problems or concerns that are pretty common that clients have? And is there any do you have any big tips, advice for anyone listening in the social media space that feels like they're struggling to grow or get their stuff seen or don't really know where to start?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would say the biggest thing is people just don't want to do it, which is very understandable. Owning a business, Jordan and I always joke, our social media suffers the most.
Yeah.
Like, we are the last to post for ourselves when we should
Uh-huh.
be posting the most because we're more concerned about making sure our clients are getting that. Another thing is a lot of people, like we talked about, they're scared to take the first step or invest the time because social media takes time. I think some people think, as you probably experienced it, you just hop on and posted a cute video. That video took a lot of time to edit. So a lot of people just don't have the time when they come to us
Yeah.
or they don't know how to do it, which is why we added. So we have this new sprint package, which is basically short-term social media help, like 6 to 8 weeks. And we did it with someone in the spring and it made us realize there's a big need for that because it basically is like helping them, like creating their content for them, helping them get the ball rolling on stuff. Cause I think another thing is when people don't start and let their social media be stagnant, it would be better to keep posting something than just go 6 months of nothing and then start posting again. It's just
Right.
better to try to consistency is key with social media. That's honestly like the biggest advice I can give is you don't need to post every single day if you don't have time, but post something every week or twice a week if you can, you know. But if you're getting started in it as a business owner, investing in your social media is going to give you the biggest return on investment. So you
Mm,
might as well go ahead and invest the time because if you have good social media, you're going to draw in new clients. You're going to, see results, but it's going to take time. So I think that's where people love instant gratification. Social media is not that. You're not going to be viral overnight. I hope you are. But we have one client who, we worked with for a year and then they got a viral reel, that
mhm,
we're posting 4 or 5 reels a week for a year. But once we got that viral reel, it started happening a little more often and their growth started picking up. So I think that's another thing is it's kind of like a garden. You got to plant it and then let it come up. So
mhm. Do you think that's a common misconception? People coming to you thinking I mean, it's the same thing with running ads, like meta ads. You know, you
mhm,
have to let the algorithm get to know you. You have to be consistent. And that's a
mhm.
lot of things. Do you think that's something that people commonly think they burn out because they just post, 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 and they're like, oh, nothing's happening.
100%. And also being burnt out from social media is so real for influencers, for anything. I go through so many phases where I don't want to post anything on social
Same.
media for my personal stuff because I'm going through something in life that I don't feel the excitement or energy. So
Hmm.
it's totally fine to feel that way, which is why I think hiring a social media team, if you are able to, is great. But if you
Mm,
can't, getting someone, if you have anyone on your team, if you have a store or something, getting someone else to help because other people can see things differently. So I think that helps too. Jordan and I have some of our team members help with our own social media for the
uh-huh.
dog just because they have new ideas in a different approach and they're going to bring something different to the table. So I think asking for help is a good way to go about that, but also batching content. I know we were talking about that at the beginning.
Hmm.
I think if you can commit, even if you only can do it, once a month, having a content day, you can create so much B-roll and everything and just dedicate time where you have no interruptions. If you can start with that and make a bunch of reels, I have a friend who has a really cool travel page on Instagram and she makes her reels and then posts them in the morning and she
Hmm.
always batch creates content. So she'll have one trip that she'll post about for a few months, but she's grown so much. And I really believe it's because she sits there and just batch makes content and consistently posts. So
Mm.
no, you can make it all at once when you feel the creativity, but then spread it out.
Yeah, and I always tell people that too, like B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. I was working with the store in Breckenridge and helping her, and I taught her all about B-roll, just like recording random trees and random, like when you're washing the dishes, like you could just throw a text on, like it can be, you can kind of conform it to your life and do things while you're doing things and just get a little tripod or just prop it up on the counter and
Yeah.
record random little moments. And then, yeah, you can use that for like months and months. Like I use stuff from last ski season for this ski season. Like I'm always
Mhm.
repurposing content. And I think, it can seem very daunting, but also letting go of the perfection aspect of it, like it needing to be perfect and just
Totally.
posting because you'll learn to perfect your content and make it look more aesthetic as you post.
Mhm. And finding like, your own brand identity takes time and it can change. I think
Yeah.
that's something that I think is, people feel like they have to be one thing. And my username is Ace at the Beach, and I have not lived at the beach multiple times. And I'm not going to change my username every time I leave. Like you can be your own brand no matter if you want to change that brand over time. You can evolve and be different. Everyone changes, especially in your 20s. Like
Yeah.
the 20s every year is a roller coaster, but you don't have to, you can start it one way and change directions if it's not working for you or not serving you anymore. So I think that's big too. Like you said, the B-roll is huge. I take clips of everything. I mean, people always say I always have a video, like my phone out taking a video, but I love having hundreds of clips and I never use them right then. They're always later. Like
Me
you said,
neither.
some of the biggest influencers I follow post their fall outfits from last year and get tons of engagement doing a fall roundup from something they did last year. Like, there's
Mhm.
no rules on repurposing your content.
No, I couldn't agree more. And there's no rules. I mean, there are rules of social media in the sense of like the consistency thing that you said, but like if you don't like video and you enjoy photo more, then like start with that. Do something that feels
Mhm.
more comfortable to you if you are just dipping your toes in, because if video seems too daunting or putting text on things seems too daunting, then just start small. And then once you get out there, it'll get a little easier and a little easier as you go.
Yes, and YouTube, I think YouTube can be your best friend if you need to learn something. I still am always learning things from watching YouTube videos, but
Mhm.
I think too, people overcomplicate it. You don't need to make a reel that has 7 million cool edits. You can literally put up a video you took of the sunrise or of your cute outfit and just put a caption about being your outfit of the day. I see those all the time and they're so cute. Love it. I just think you just have to put stuff out there. It does not have to be the craziest. It doesn't need to be a feature film. It
Yeah.
can be it can be a 10-second clip. You don't even have to edit it. You can just
Yeah.
crop the beginning and
Throw
end
it out
on
there.
Instagram.
Exactly. What do you think about like YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, all these other social media platforms, or is Instagram more your bread and butter?
I love Instagram. I feel like I've been loyal to it since I was started at 14. So
Mhm.
been a huge fan of it. I love how you can share on it, but I honestly think every platform is important. It depends on your goals too. So I think if you're trying to grow your platform, you need to be on multiple. You need to at least have the username and be posting. If you're posting videos on Instagram, you might as well be posting them on TikTok. I definitely think a lot of brands only want to focus on Instagram, and we always try to encourage even Pinterest. Pinterest is a huge platform to utilize, especially if you're a boutique or anything that is something that you purchase online. There's so many, their algorithm is so good and their ads are really good for people. So I'm a big fan of Pinterest too. I love YouTube for watching videos. I think if people do vlogs, that's definitely the place that they can get the most growth and monetization, honestly. So
Mm.
I I love all the platforms honestly for different reasons. Pinterest, I'm very loyal to too, but I think Instagram will always be my favorite no matter what. I have a really big hate relationship with Facebook. It's not love hate. I just hate it.
Yeah, same.
Meta is sometimes my enemy. I dealt with them, I think, 8 hours last week on one problem, so I don't love their platform as much anymore, but I do love Instagram, and they own Instagram, so sadly, it's love-hate. But, yeah, I don't know, they're all fun. I think YouTube it's never went away, but I think it's making a comeback. More people are
Mm.
going back to watching vlogs. And I don't think they ever stop, but I think it's becoming more prominent that people want long videos instead of the quick 8-second videos.
No, I agree. I feel like there's a movement towards long form
Mhm,
content again.
100%.
Yeah. Are there any other trends that you've seen happening or updates or algorithm changes or shifts that you've noticed? Because I'm sure y'all have to stay pretty up to date with all that because things are always changing.
Yes, they're changing all the time. I think my big obsession right now is keywords in general, just that everything you put in your caption or on your reel is helping find people and that you need to use them. So you've probably noticed people's captions are getting a lot longer
Mhm.
because that's helping them find the right people. I use Instagram like Google. My husband always kind of laughs at me because he's like, you literally search on Instagram before you search on Google. But if I am trying to find a place to eat in a new city, I'm going to go to Instagram and type in that city and the restaurant. So kind of tailoring your stuff to be what you want people to search for, I think is
Mm.
important, especially on Reels, because on that algorithm on that explore page, if you're scrolling, if you start liking, the girl in the cheetah print blouse, you're suddenly going to see a bunch of girls in cheetah print blouses. Or if you are only liking funny videos of people falling, that's what you're going to start seeing, or
Mhm.
dogs, or whatever you start liking. So I think tailoring your content is really important now, and it's not just having it be pretty. You need to put words that will help match viewers too. That's my favorite trend, is that keywords are
Interesting.
keywords are really important now. And I feel like it used to be about your stuff looking good. And now I think it's really important what you say too.
Okay, and making it more searchable.
Mhm.
And what about video versus photo? Do you think that they're, like, evening back out? Because I think video was kinda king for a while, wasn't it?
Yes, I think video will always stay king because if you look across platform, you have TikTok, Instagram, you have YouTube. I still
True.
think people crave that, especially because our world is so digital. There's
Mhm.
something about video that feels more, I don't know, real to people, maybe.
Yeah,
Carousel posts, people doing the photo dumps, that's not going anywhere. They now just added more photos, as you've
I
probably seen. Now
saw
you can do
that.
20, which I love. I think put as many, I scroll through everyone. So if
I
someone
do
does a
too.
carousel, I want to see every photo. Please
Same.
share. So I think that's definitely, I don't think they're tied, because I personally feel like Instagram and TikTok are always going to be in a battle of who's
Mhm.
can get the most users and everything. So I think they're always going to push that kind of content, the actual apps. I do think they're catching up with each other more, but if you're trying to get new people, I do think you have to lean into video content. So
Yeah, because then that's what shows up, when you're scrolling through your reels and stuff.
yeah, the finding for people to find you, and now when you're on Instagram, it will say so and so started following you from your reel instead of
Yeah,
just.
I've seen that.
So I do think if you're trying to, you need both. I don't think you should just do one, but
Mhm.
reels definitely reach a new audience, but your carousels, still reach people too.
And so what are your responsibilities like within the company? Like what's your role and what do y'all do for your clients?
I feel like it's changed a little bit. We're trying. I think being an owner is hard because I want to help and do all the day-to-day tasks, but we also need to build our company. So we're trying to be
Mm,
more hands off with a lot of the individual daily tasks with our clients and
okay.
leaving it up to our team because they are great. So, we trust them, but that's been really hard to get to that point. But now I would say a lot of my responsibilities are my sister and I both, we do every conversation with potential clients. So I do a lot of calls. We do a lot of the client facing things. So I talk with different clients, at least multiple times a week. We're in charge of keeping our full team running. So we're always making lists and going through what needs to get done each week, checking in on clients. If a client's not performing well, that's usually where I step in and try to help figure out why they're not doing well. I try to help, what reels are we making? And then again, with my sister and I being, she's more organized and I am more visual, everything. I
Mm,
spend a lot of my time, honestly, trend researching, like we talked about. I feel like I see every trend or hear the word demur and, like, I don't even know how to say it. Honestly, I hated
yeah,
that
me
trend a lot.
neither.
I feel like I spend a lot of time actually scrolling, which sounds not productive, but I'm constantly saving videos, sending them to different employees with ideas for new clients. I make a
Mhm.
lot of lists of things that we should try for them. So I also do a lot of the video tutorials. So if an intern or an employee needs help making a specific reel and they don't know how, I will make a whole tutorial on how to make that video. So my role kind of changes throughout the week depending on what's going on, but it's
Mhm.
definitely more planning and making a lot of things. I probably make at least 2 to 3 reels a day for different things, but
Wow.
a lot of them though, I will say, like we've talked about, it becomes muscle memory. So
Yeah.
some of them I can't even say take me that long. We're always brainstorming or, all of that. So it's fun.
Yeah. Do you have trouble balancing all of that? Like working for your own company, having a social life, you're married, and just yourself, just everything. I know that can be really hard as an entrepreneur.
Yes. I think work-life balance and having boundaries has been the past few years Jordan and I's main goal, especially I think it's so hard owning your business. I'm sure you feel this way. Sometimes it'll be nighttime and you are checking on something for a client, or I get to the end of the day and I haven't done anything for my personal social media. So now I
Right.
am trying to switch and think of what I should post, or I haven't posted any stories in 2 days, but I want to share stuff. Or so I do think the balance is really hard to find. I am always working on it. I don't think I'm close to perfect. I try to have a good morning and evening routine. I'm always trying to improve that. I do think if I don't have a decent morning routine, it kind of sets up the rest of the day to not go as well. So I try to walk every single morning. I have, a little rescue dog, so that he keeps me walking. He's
Mhm.
also really fast for being as small as he is, like a dachshund mix. But I try to walk every morning. I love coffee, so I always make coffee at home or I go to a coffee shop so it feels, different. But balancing things when my husband, he travels a lot for work, which is hard. But when we're together, we are definitely better about really spending time together intentionally. So we
Mm.
try to eat dinner at our dining table instead of just in front of the TV. And we try to now, after dinner, go on walks. So that helps to disconnect. But it's really about, honestly, at the end of the day, I think I have to just put my phone down. That's the
Yeah.
biggest part of it. But work-life balance and just having good boundaries is hard. I'm always working on it. So I'm looking anyone have tips, please share what they did.
No, I mean, I've never asked anyone that's been like, "Oh, yeah, like, let me tell you exactly what I do. I've got great boundaries." They're always like, what do you do?" Because I don't really know
Yeah,
what to do.
let me know. We've definitely improved our boundaries with work and not answering clients at all hours.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really hard. It's hard. I'm trying to sleep with my phone on the other side of my room instead of next to me so that I'm more disconnected. But yeah, I really want to eventually go to where on Saturdays I don't even have my phone on me all day. That's a goal, but
Mm.
one day we'll get there. That's
We're
work.
working towards it.
Yeah.
And tell me more about your marriage. You've been married for 2, 3
Two
years?
and a half years. Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. And yeah, and y'all met right after college, got
Hmm.
married a couple years ago. I have a bunch of friends that are married and in relationships, and I'm always collecting relationship advice. So do you have any relationship advice? How's marriage going? Because I know that there's mixed reviews there between all
There,
my friends.
there are, and that makes me sad. Yeah, honestly, my best advice is marry your best friend.
Mm.
Don't settle. Max is definitely my best friend. When we met, we dated. We've been married 2.5 years. We dated almost 5 years. We've been together almost 7 now. So we did 2 years of long distance, and I really think that long distance really improved our communication because we had to learn. And now, even with him traveling often for work, he's out of town tonight and he's usually out of town 2 or 3 nights a week, not every week, but because of that, I think learning to communicate well. And Max is way more patient than me, so make sure you marry someone that is a balance of you, because I am a lot more chaotic and, you know, kind of bounce off the walls, and he is calm and collected, so that helps a lot. But I do think marrying your best friend, having common interests too. You don't have to have all the same interests. Like, you need your own hobbies and friends. You do not need to do everything together. But I think it's great because we both love being outdoors. He's, 10 times a better skier than I am, but I'm working towards that. I'm luckily, like, we're both adventurous, so that helps. But I think you have to have similar interests so that you can do a lot together. We're people who really like to go, go, go. So if we have a weekend at home, what most people would do on the weekend is probably chill, and
Mhm.
we pack in as much as possible. We'll go like rock climbing or a 10-mile bike ride, or we always have to do something extra. Last weekend or 2 weeks ago, we decided to make up our own bar crawl. We, like, started at the top of this central in St. Pete, and we made it to 8 of the 30 bars, which I felt like was pretty impressive,
That's huge.
but, it was fun, but we always are coming up with new activities, so my best advice is, marry someone that you can hang out with, because you don't want
Mm.
you gotta have common interests, There's no reason to marry someone that I'm lucky not to be like a golf widow or something. I hear people say that all the time. I'm like, "Wait, what
A
is?"
golf widow. I've
Yeah,
never
I'm like,
heard
"We're
that.
we're young and married," like, you'll definitely go through challenges, but I think, if you go into a relationship working well together and decide to get married, you should have a good foundation. Like, that's so important to, be well matched in that sense and have the same values and everything. It's just important to talk about all those things before you dive in.
Yeah, and I think that's what people always say is like the communication piece too, like how important that is, being honest with each other, feeling like you can tell that person anything. I'm in a long distance relationship right now, and we were talking about that last night, like because I have so many friends who are married and are very open and honest about everything. And I know everyone goes through seasons. And my boyfriend and I last night were just talking about how long distance kind of works for us because we just started dating and it's only going to be a year of long distance. But I've never been so open and honest and like communicative with someone before, and you're kind of
Wow.
forced to do that because talking is really all you have
Right.
in between. And I'm appreciative of that because I think it's made me a better communicator, and I think it'll make us better in the future because we have, dealt with all these things and like talked through so much early on.
100%. I actually think it's great that you're doing long distance because of that. I think the communication, all my friends who've done long distance and that are happily married have really strong communication in their relationships. And I think
Mhm.
it's really cool to see. Literally, two of my best friends three actually did long distance for at least 6 months to a year. And
Mhm.
it does make a difference. Not that I'm saying that if you're in a relationship, you should go move across the country. It
Yeah.
still is very hard. It was definitely challenging. I don't want to be long distance ever again, but it does really strengthen your communication,
Mm.
when you go through it. So it's worth it. And in the end, if you're in game, it's worth it. So
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any advice for anyone listening that is single that wants to meet someone or is feeling lonely or behind in what they're doing?
yeah, well, you're not behind. I think that's one thing with I love social media. I work in it obviously, but that's one really big negative about it is it's so easy
Mm.
to compare. I Everyone does it. I get on sometimes and I scroll and suddenly I'm looking at someone who lives in Santa Barbara in a $10 million house and I suddenly feel behind even though that's just, that's you're not. Everyone
Mhm.
has a different path. I would say that you need to be okay to fail, like we talked about. That's the biggest thing, which is so hard. It's easier said than done. But with meeting people, I mean, honestly, I've been out of the game a while, so I don't know how to give great advice. My number one thing from any friends I've talked to that are single or going through that is to really put yourself out there. My husband's favorite
Mm.
movie is We Bought a Zoo, which is a great movie. If you haven't rewatched it, go rewatch it because
I
we've
need to
seen it a
rewatch
lot.
that. I haven't seen that in a
It has a
while.
lot of great things, but one of the things he says in it is 20 seconds of insane courage is all you need, basically. I don't know the exact quote, but basically that 20 seconds of insane courage will create something great in your life. And I think that's something that's really hard to do is to put yourself out there. I'm in a new city and I have had a lot of attempts at making new friends that didn't work out. I was in my boxing class the other week. I like to box and I had seen a girl like 4 times and finally decided to ask her to get coffee. And she said, I'm moving to New York next week. And I was like, great. So this worked out great. So I've had a lot of shut doors where I try to make friends. I've tried to walk up to girls and talk to their dog and then start talking and they walked away. So I've learned that it's okay to just be shut down. Not everyone's looking for that. So I think you kind of have to keep putting yourself out there. Also have fun with it. I think being single is really like a fun time of your life and
Mm.
better to be single and have fun and have a lot of great memories with your girls or your good friends than to be sad because you're dating the wrong person. So I think that's important. When I met Max, I had sworn off boys. Like I had literally
Mhm.
told a friend that day, I'm done with men. And that was the day I met him. So I think that also just not, I don't know, focusing on the things you love in your life and not trying to rush it. But I know that's easier said because I'm not in that position anymore. But I do think that putting yourself out there is the only way to, get anything good in life, sadly.
No, it is. And I hate the cliche of like, oh, you meet someone when you're not looking. It's like, yes, you could be sworn off men and then meet the love of your life,
Right.
but you have to take inspired action. You can't sit in your house and like just not look ever and not try and not
Right.
get on dating apps and then expect to meet someone. You have to put yourself in situations, go to new bars, go
Mhm.
to new places, try to make new friends and meet new people. And then you do meet someone. Like, I think that encourages people not to try,
Yeah.
which like no one's too cool to try. And
No.
I think that is how you meet someone.
Even find making sure you're getting involved in things that are your interest. I hate
Mhm.
running, and I was telling my husband the other week, I'm gonna go try the run club so that I make friends, and he goes, the common thread there is that everyone runs." And I said, "You're right, that's probably not where I'm gonna meet my people." So, he always is really good at, bringing me back down to earth, but I think finding things you're actually interested in. I've seen a lot more, social clubs starting in cities, like, there's one here called, like, St. Pete Girls Who Walk that I've been meaning to go do, and I think stuff like that, just find ways to, you know, get involved, but I met my husband at a bar. I think
Yeah,
go out. You have to be out of your house.
go
So,
out.
yeah, go out. Let's go out and have a cocktail.
Well, it's funny sometimes too, like, I mean, you said you've been out of the game for a while, but making friends can feel like dating.
Oh, it's yeah. I
Ooh, like,
actually
dating's
moving
not
from Nashville too,
familiar.
I had so many great friends. I miss those friends so much. They're the best people
Mhm,
ever. But I feel like I'm back to ground zero, and it doesn't help that I'm always traveling or back and forth in Seaside, and I have great
mhm,
people that I know in Seaside, so I kind of feel, and I have best friends all around that are in great cities. Like one of my best friends is in New York. I have a friend in New
mhm.
Orleans. I have friends in Denver. Like I having that San Diego, it really messes me up because I'm like, I'll just go visit you for the
Yeah,
weekend in San Diego. And I don't have to think about the fact that I don't have weekend plans at home if I'm
yeah,
not home.
yeah.
So it does feel like dating. It's hard, but I have learned I have to just be okay being shut down. And it also, like you said, it's a muscle. My husband always says that with everything is you have to practice things. So even though I've been shut down by having coffee a few times, I will, I'll make those friends. And also it's okay if you don't click with someone too, like dating. I think that's a lesson I'm learning about myself is
Mhm.
want to be friends with everybody, but not everyone fits with, yourself. So it's okay if that doesn't work out either.
Yeah, I learned that too when moving to Denver because I didn't know anyone. Was I wanted to be everyone's friend, but it's okay if also if people don't vibe with me, like if they don't want
Yeah.
to be my friend. And that was a huge lesson for me. I remember there was like a girl when I moved here that I could just tell didn't really like me. So I was trying to make it my soul mission to like make her like me. And then I
Right.
stopped for a second. It's the same with dating. It's like, wait, do I even want to be with friends with this person? No.
A
you know?
100%. Yeah, that's
We
been a
love
hard
them.
lesson for me because I want everyone to like me. That goes with the social
Mhm.
media stuff too. I
Yeah.
get nervous about posting stuff because I'm worried someone's not gonna like it or be upset, and
Mm.
everyone's life is so individual, it does not I don't have to be everyone's favorite person, so it's very
Yeah.
hard.
Just adult lessons.
Right, right.
And y'all love to travel too. We were talking about that. You were just in Banff, right?
Yes. Oh,
How was that? It looked insanely amazing.
I don't know if you been to Banff?
No, I'm dying to go.
Add it to your list. It was easier to get to than I expected, honestly. You just fly into Calgary and WestJet is out of they have it in Denver. So if you can get to Denver, it's a pretty cheap little like
Cool.
Spirit airline thing, but it's owned by Delta, so I trusted it.
Yeah.
But I'll fly Spirit. I'll fly anything to get
Oh,
where I
I
wanna
will
go.
literally get on any
Yeah.
like, it does not
I
matter.
don't care if
Get on
it doesn't
anything.
even have a brand. I'll just if
Same.
it's taking me to Europe, I will
Yeah,
go.
I'm good.
But yeah, we love traveling. I just if I could travel all the time, I used to say that I would love to be a flight attendant in another life.
Mhm, same.
I think their job is very hard, especially after like 2020. I feel like it's gotten even harder for them. People are just kind of like ruder or something. I don't know. I think 'cause I'm
Mhm.
always overly nice to flight attendants. I think they go through hard stuff,
Hell.
but, go through hell. But I always wanted to be the flight attendant that went worldwide too, so that probably would take a long time.
It takes a
Uh,
long time to build up.
yeah, but I love just being on a plane. I always, like, take the 6 a.m. flights. I don't mind. I just like the travel experience too. I like airports, probably really weird, but I love traveling. Banff, though, is incredible. It really I've always enjoyed hiking. My mom grew up in Colorado, and I have
Mm,
family in Crested Butte area, so I'm love going to the mountains any chance I get, but this really just overly solidified a need to be there more often because it was just gorgeous. You had these incredible lakes, but the mountain range was basically like the entire Colorado Rockies so condensed. I did not realize how the Canadian Rockies are so on top of each other. So
interesting.
you're surrounded by mountains, which I know you are in Colorado too. They're gorgeous, but I was
But
so
you're, like,
impressed.
literally surrounded, yeah.
And apparently their ski season's the off season. So now my husband's like, should we go back for ski season? But definitely add Banff to your list. It was
Okay.
gorgeous. It's very touristy in the summer, so that was one thing. There was a lot of tourism, but most of the tourist spots are just at the beginning of the lakes or something. So once you start hiking, it's, 3 people or 2 people.
Yeah.
So definitely add it. It's amazing. I wanna go back.
I will. It's funny because I mean, living in the mountains, I'm like, okay, when I'm on vacation, like I was in Europe backpacking last summer, I was like, I'm not going to go to any like mountainous places. I need to go to other places. And then I
Yeah.
ended up in Norway for like 2 weeks. Like I just
So
can't,
that's fun.
I can't help it. I have to go. So I'll definitely
That's
add it to
you
my list.
should. I mean, if you love mountains, you might as well go see
Mhm.
them, but it's gorgeous. I just being in Florida in the summer has made me realize that I need more mountains because
Yeah.
going to Banff in August and wearing a jacket was life-changing to me.
Yeah,
Going to
I'm
Lake
sure.
Tahoe this weekend, I looked at the weather and I'm, like, just beaming. I cannot wait to put on
Yes.
a sweater. And I have my jacket collection is huge. I love coats, and they
Uh-huh.
sit there all year just waiting to be taken out. So
I love that. Well, that's so exciting. Well, maybe I'll convince you when we get off our call. We can talk more about Colorado because I know you were talking about possibly, thinking of that as a move at some point.
yes, definitely. That is my husband's dream, so
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm a good tour guide and I'm very good at convincing.
I
I've
love that.
told a few people on Colorado thus far.
It's so fun. I mean, I get it. Max's sister lives in Denver. My brother used to live in Denver. I have a
Mhm.
lot of, like, family friends there, and I'm like, "You know what? Why not?" So
Yeah, you're like, I get it.
it's easy to be open to moving anywhere when you can go home to Seaside. I think that's my biggest thing is I have access to my favorite beach in the world, so as
Mhm.
long as I can always go home, I would
Yeah.
live anywhere for a little bit.
Well, I think people also think about moving like it's this like huge permanent scary thing. Like you can go
Right.
anywhere and you can always go back to where you like it can be as quick as you want it to be. You just try things out. And if you don't like it, you can always go somewhere else.
100%. I'm a big encourager that I think it's really important in your 20s to move around if you can or if you want to. If
Mhm.
you absolutely love where you are, you do not need to. But I even have, one of my best friends from San Diego. She moved away. She lived in Nashville with me for a little and moved back to San Diego, and she's happier than ever. But I'm also really proud of her for trying out a
Mhm.
different city and realizing, okay, this isn't my place. I'm going back. But I definitely
Yeah.
think it helps with growth. Again, with the friends, having to date people.
Yeah. And then
So,
like figure out kind of who you are. I've never learned more than I have moving to new places or traveling by
yeah.
myself and going to new places and having to like walk up to a group of people and be like, "Hi, I'm Sarah. Like, will someone talk to me?"
Oh, yeah, for sure. My mom is a really big encourager on move around and try new things, which
Mhm.
is great. She's, like, my favorite person, but she's always like, "Why not?" She's like, "You don't have kids, you just have a small dog, like, just go."
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter. She's like, "Go
I
move
love
to
that.
Paris." And I'm like, "Okay, sounds
Maybe
great."
I will. Don't tempt
Yeah,
me.
right?
So speaking of moving, what's next for you with business, with life? Do you have anything on the horizon or things you're working towards?
Lots we're working towards. I think the biggest business side, my sister and I had a business coach this summer that was wonderful. And she really has helped us get things more organized. So we have a lot of goals for our team and some big client goals, but we also are really working on getting our finances really in order. Both of us hate talking about the finance aspect of business. And that's something I
Same.
really struggle with in my personal life is
Mhm.
trying to be better about planning finances and budgeting. It's my biggest fear word, but
Yeah,
I'm
I've never
really
had
trying
a
to
budget.
lean into that. It's so hard. I'm like,
So hard.
it's just really, yeah, but we're gonna get there. So I'm working on that for like personal and everything. And then my husband and I, our lease is up at where we live right now in St. Pete in December. So we have no idea what's happening next. So that's kind of personal wise. We're kind of in a weird limbo on that. So we'll see if we're in St. Pete or wherever. But yeah, I would say other than that, I think I just want to plan one more fun trip for the year before
Mhm.
it ends. But I mean, really, the holidays are almost here. I know that they're not here yet, but I always am a big New Year's is my favorite holiday. So I think
Mm,
I'm a big goal planner and
same.
make your resolutions and everything or whatever. I usually make like a list of a bunch of things I want to do instead of one resolution. But
Yeah.
I think when it gets closer to the end of the year, I'll start making lots of goals and hopes and dreams and everything for 2025. So not a ton right now, just head down working.
I love that. Well, let everyone know where they can find you and where they can find your business.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Ace at the Beach. It's pretty easy to find for that one because it's just ACE at the beach. And then
Mhm.
Jaw Creative is Jaw Media on Jaw Social Media on Instagram. It's also in my bio. So you can find that. And otherwise, you can probably find me in Seaside walking around with my dog and labs or my parents' labs or at a coffee shop or cocktails. Depends on the time.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun
Yeah.
getting to
Thank you for
chat.
having me.
Of course. And hopefully you'll be my neighbor soon. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. You never know.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week. All right, guys. And that is a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you don't follow us already on Instagram, you can find us at Raw Intentions Podcast. Always love hearing from y'all if you want to slide into our DMs and tell us, anything. You can tell us your deepest, darkest secret. You can tell us something that you liked on the episode, something you want to discuss further. Anyone you want us to have on the podcast. I mean, we're always all yours. We love hearing from you. If you love us as much as we love you, we would love if you could leave us a little like, rating, and review just as we continue to grow our audience and grow our community. We drop new episodes every single Thursday, anywhere you get your podcast. And if you subscribe to us, then you get notifications every time a new one drops. Hint, hint. Do it. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And I love you all so much. Have a fabulous weekend. I will talk to you next Thursday. Bye.